call our meeting to order tonight. Renata, if you do the roll call, please.
Eddinger.
Here.
Evans.
Here.
McEvers.
Here.
Guggen.
Here.
Adams.
Here.
Miller.
Here.
Okay, we'll rise. Tonight we have Pastor Sean McCartan from the Life Center Coeur d'Alene Church to give our invocation. Thank you, Sean.
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this opportunity to gather. We ask for your wisdom. We thank you for the great city of Coeur d'Alene. Lord, we lift up this leadership body, our mayor, council members, and ask God that you would lead and guide, direct. We thank you for the wonderful responsibility and privilege to watch over, guide, and lead the great citizens of this area. We pray for the prosperity, well-being, the peace, the safety, and the future of this community. We thank you for this evening. We ask your blessings upon it in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Steve, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we'll get to business here. Any amendments to the agenda tonight? No amendments to the agenda seen. We'll move on to presentations. Our first presentation is an Eagle Scout project, and we have Kim Harrington and Brian Clark.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I have the distinct privilege of introducing to you Brian Clark. He's from 219. He's one of Coeur d'Alene's newest Eagle Scouts. He is a senior at Lake City High School.
Title. Go ahead and air the PSA.
Everything that hits our streets is washed down our storm drains. It does not visit a water treatment plant, but is instead discharged back into the water bodies we use for swimming, fishing, and providing drinking water. Garbage and other debris suffocates local aquatic life, and hazardous chemicals can poison fish, leading to illness among both our community and its wildlife. Help keep our city clean by responsibly managing and disposing of harmful chemicals and throwing away trash.
This PSA was part of Brian's Eagle Scout project. So he partnered with the city with our stormwater management program as part of the public education portion of our permit with EPA. Go ahead, Jeff.
Stand by, here it comes.
Everything that hits our streets is washed down our storm drains. It does not visit a water treatment plant, but is instead discharged back into the water bodies we use for swimming, fishing, and providing drinking water. Garbage and other debris suffocates local aquatic life, and hazardous chemicals can poison fish, leading to illness among both our community and its wildlife. Help keep our city clean by responsibly managing and disposing of harmful chemicals and throwing away trash.
Brian did a very good job with that, and we will be airing that on our Channel 19.
And I'd like to thank the City of Coeur d'Alene for giving me this opportunity, especially Kim Harrington and Jeff Crow. They were very helpful and flexible in working with me, and they also gave me a lot of knowledge to take away from the project. So I really am grateful for that.
Great. Thank you, Brian.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Okay, next on the list, Roadmaster Awards. Doug Chase, Local Highway Technical Assistance Council.
Mayor and council members, I'm Doug Chase from the Local Highway Technical Assistance Council, and I'm a trainer, instructor for the Idaho Technology Transfer Center. Part of our education program that we go around the state and provide to cities, counties, and highway districts includes awards for those individuals who attend a certain number of classes. The Rhodes Scholar Award goes to those individuals who managed to go to 11 classes. So it's about 80 hours worth of class time. And as a part of that, they receive a certificate for the wall, a hat, and a Leatherman tool. And you may recall I was here several months ago and gave a couple of those awards. Tonight, I'm giving 2 awards for Rhodes Master. That's another 10 classes, another about 80 hours worth of class time. And as a part of that, individuals receive a certificate and a nice jacket, a Carhartt jacket. So with that said, tonight, I'm pleased to present a Roadmaster Award to Russ Grant.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Yep.
And the other award is for Travis Galloway, who apparently is feeling ill tonight. But if I might present that to Terry Lee, and he can give that to Travis when he sees it. So, Terry.
Thank you very much, Doug.
And once again, I would like to congratulate the city on providing this opportunity to the employees in an effort to make this city infrastructure safe and efficient. So thank you for this opportunity.
Great, thank you. Next, we have a report on Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and Mike is going to do some introductions.
Good evening. It's my pleasure to introduce Wes Somerton, who is the city's chief prosecutor, runs our criminal office, and he's here to talk to you tonight a little bit about domestic violence awareness. Wes is one of the most dedicated employees we have here at the city. Some of you have been around for a while, know all the work that he's put in, protecting victims and representing the city. He's a graduate of Gonzaga University Law School and serves on the Idaho Supreme Court Subcommittee on Domestic Violence. He's been involved in national trainings on domestic violence and other issues, and then trains folks locally and works with local resources. So one of the things he's going to talk about is what our office does to provide resources to people who are involved in situations involving domestic violence. So without further ado, Wes Somerton.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. It's the first time I've stood behind this podium, and it's pretty tall from where I'm standing. I was going to, when I was asked to do this, I thought about, well, should we do a proclamation? And then I thought, no, we shouldn't, because domestic violence happens 365 days out of the year. October is a month of many events. I think a lot of us see pink going around, and we all know what that means. But October is also Domestic Violence Awareness Month. And to probably do better justice to it and the folks that are on the ground working in the trenches, I'm not even going to throw slides at you that have lots of statistics that really don't mean anything unless you're the person putting those statistics together for a slide. Suffice it to say that in a woman's lifetime, as an adult, one out of 3 women will be a victim of domestic violence. National average is running pretty strong, with about 85% of domestic violence victims are female. That means there's 15% of them are male. And that's pretty true, give or take some percentage points of what we see in our community. So with that, I thought probably it would be better to just give you an idea of what we are doing in the city of Coeur d'Alene, your city attorney's office, of how we're addressing it, what we do to address it. Next, I would like to just briefly identify, I'm not going to remember all of them, but many of our partners in addressing domestic violence in our community. And then lastly, I'll give you a quick overview of an exciting program that we have in the courts, which is a response both at the federal level, the state level, and the local level of our domestic violence court program. The City Attorney's Office does take a very proactive approach and role to domestic violence in our community. One of the things that we do to try to stay at the forefront of holding offenders accountable, making sure domestic violence education is appropriate and appropriately applied, and we seek also aggressive prosecution. Now, aggressive prosecution, I'm going to just take a real quick jump ahead. Don't confuse prosecution with convictions. A prosecutor's job is to seek justice, whether it's domestic violence or any other type of crime. And we have a very heavy burden on our prosecutors to ensure that justice is reached in each and every case that comes across our desks. And many times, that does not mean a conviction. That means intervention. That means focusing folks to treatment, counseling, or other resources to fix a problem. Because we have to take a look at it as a whole. A community, not just an individual aspect. I sat for the last hour with a victim, and she was aghast by how the police reports reflect her, reflect her husband, and reflect the dynamic of their relationship. Because the officers, when they arrive, because neighbors are calling, they find this couple at their worst. And that's what they report. That's what they see. That's what they record. Well, that's why those cases come to us. Because we have to take that next step and figure out what's the bigger dynamic, what's the bigger solution. So one of the things that we do in our office is when a domestic violence case comes to our office, our staff reaches out to the victims within 24 to 48 hours to make contact with them, to make sure that they have access to resources in the community, to make sure that they have questions, we can answer them. If we can't answer them, we get them the questions and we get them the answers. We do follow-up investigations. If we need officers to go back out and re-interview somebody, or if we need to have a person come into our office, we ask an officer to come in and sit with us while we re-interview those individuals. Because whether we like it or not, a lot of times substances are present, not that domestic violence equals substance abuse, because domestic violence occurs in people that don't abuse substances. But a lot of times that is. So you've got murky memories on the scene where they're not recalling things correctly. So we'll bring them back into our office. We'll let them watch the videos of themselves, of their earlier statements, read their earlier statements to law enforcement, and try to figure out what's going on with that dynamic. We also look for evidence-based prosecution. What that means is, can we prosecute the case without the complaining victim? That helps not victimize that individual. It helps if the individual is going to stay with the offender to keep a normalcy of a relationship going forward instead of they're working forward. Now they're in court testifying against the individual. That's destructive in and of itself. So we look for ways to do that without their need to testify. Not all the time are we able to do that. And again, we look for justice, not convictions. We use not only the Idaho Rules of Professional Conduct, the National Prosecution Standards as our guidelines, but we also use guidelines that we're able to glean from the Domestic Violence Crime Prevention Act at the national level. That brings a sense of consistency for our office, so we're not out in left field from where other prosecution agencies are at. Because it's important that we have that independence to find the right mix for that individual that's sitting there before us. But it's also important to be consistent so it's fair, so it doesn't come across as arbitrary, capricious, or just flat picking on somebody because we don't like the way they look. Our office is involved with a number of other groups, ensuring that best practices are identified so that we can train law enforcement, advise law enforcement for investigative techniques. We train prosecutors for appropriate trial techniques. We work with and train with domestic violence advocates so that we understand their role, they understand our role, where can those two come together. And many times, if it's a private advocacy group, our roles really can't blend very well because of privacy interests that they're not able to share with us. Our partners in addressing domestic violence and sexual assault in our community are made up of many government and non-government organizations working together to stimulate a more coordinated community response to domestic violence and sexual assault. It's our goals to enhance the safety for victims. It's our goals to increase offender accountability and to improve our interagency collaboration and look for broader system outcomes. I know Councilwoman Miller and I know Councilman Gookin are very involved in this area, and we appreciate your support, we appreciate your involvement, and we appreciate the fact that you are engaged in this area. And if I've missed another council member, I apologize for that. We work with 911 dispatch. We work with Kootenai County Sheriff's Office, the Kootenai County Prosecutor's Office, the Post Falls Police Department Victim Services Unit and their prosecutors. We work with them. We work with the Rathdrum Police Department and their prosecutor. And you're wondering, well, if you're the city of Coeur d'Alene, why are you working with those folks? Domestic violence doesn't recognize political jurisdiction boundaries. We're Kootenai County. Our victims come from all over Kootenai County. Crimes occur in our city, we address them. But if we have information about a couple or an individual that another agency is now dealing with, we share that information so that they don't get the advantage of crossing a boundary line and starting over. We work very closely with the Kootenai County Adult Misdemeanor Probation Office. One of our biggest stakeholders and partners is the North Idaho Violence Prevention Center. Our office does not have advocates on staff. So our advocacy services for the city of Coeur d'Alene, for all intents and purposes, are through the North Idaho Violence Prevention Center. They're a fantastic tool for us. They provide us access to national training resources that we would not otherwise be able to have. We work with Kootenai Health, the School District 271, Idaho Department of Health and Welfare, the Idaho Council on Domestic Violence and Victim Assistance, the Idaho Crime Victims Compensation. Now, when you think about crime victim compensation program, that's usually for people of a violent crime. Well, domestic violence is a violent crime. They provide funding not only for medical expenses, but also for counseling for the victims and the children of the victims that may have been present or close enough to perceive the violence as it occurred in their home. That is a major program that we utilize. We work with the Kootenai County courts and staff, primarily now that we have the domestic violence court program in place, the trial court administrator, the family court services director, and the domestic violence court judge and the domestic violence court coordinator. The domestic violence court was originally created under a grant written by Judge Friedlander, who retired in August. One of our city attorneys became the magistrate to replace that position. The new judge is, and he's not a new judge, but the new judge to that position is Judge Clark Peterson. And we're very excited to have the continuation of that program going. Our non-governmental partners include the North Idaho Violence Prevention Center, CASA, Children's Village, domestic violence evaluators. There's a good handful of those in the community. We work very closely with them so that they're understanding what's required for the evaluations. We get them the information they need to be able to prepare a proper evaluation. Our domestic violence treatment providers, we work very closely with them. Again, providing any information that they may need through the course of a treatment program or a counseling program so that they know and have the best information of the individual that they're dealing with. Our domestic violence court program began, officially launched off of the grant through the Office of Victims Against Women that was written by Judge Friedlander. We had our first case dockets April 1st, 2013. And what changed between having a domestic violence court and not having a domestic violence court? We have 6 resident magistrates in the city of Coeur d'Alene, or Kootenai County. I apologize to Kootenai County for making that slip. For Kootenai County. The cases, as they came in, were just assigned randomly to judges. And so you've got a mixed bag of reaction to domestic violence. And that became an inconsistent application in addressing the issues. We now have one judge. That judge hears all domestic violence cases. Those are automatically assigned to his court. It's not an opt-in. It's not an opt-out. You're there. Now, prior to a sentencing, all the original rights that a person would have in any criminal case are the same in domestic violence court. Slight difference is on a no-contact order. If a person's arrested for a domestic violence case, a no-contact order is automatically put in place. Typically, it's a cooling-off order to ensure that people can calm down. If they bond out, they don't go home and start right back up again. Judge Peterson hears those no-contact orders. And so there's a more consistent approach of how a judge is dealing with the information, expecting people to be moving forward with their lives, taking charge of the cases that they have, versus, again, the nilly-willy application of what we had before. At sentencing, if it ends up being a conviction, the court then requires a domestic violence evaluation and requires treatment to be followed up on. The court also holds routine status conferences. That's a docket, a regular docket during the day. Monday of this week, we had about 14 cases on that docket. And that's just a status. How are you doing? Have you gotten your evaluation? Great. Have you picked a provider? Good. And then the providers and our probation officers communicate with the court coordinator via a SharePoint program, and then the coordinator shares that with the applicable prosecutors. So we know how somebody is doing on a week-by-week basis. Are they compliant with their treatment? Are they actively engaged in treatment, or are they sitting there like a bump on the log? Now, we understand there's going to be some slow acceptance of that reality. We're all human. I think we all don't like being hearing, we're not the sharpest tack on the wall. But eventually, most of them do get it. And the advantage of the status review hearing is to ensure that they are moving forward in positive steps and for a quick feedback if they're not. Where it happened before, the evaluator or the treatment provider would send us a note saying, oh, they're not in treatment. We would then file a probation violation. And that usually did not get heard for a couple of months. And if they entered a denial, you didn't have the evidentiary hearing for probably another month. Well, you're a quarter of their way through probation and they haven't begun treatment yet. And if it's a one-year treatment program, we're already behind the 8 ball. That's changed with our domestic violence court because of that status. They're engaged a lot earlier. There's constant follow-up. And so we're very pleased to have that. Only one of the 7 districts in the state of Idaho does not have a domestic violence court. All the others do. None of the courts are the same for each district, which is interesting, and that's something that I've learned while being on the subcommittee. The Kootenai County is the only court where all domestic violence cases are assigned to the domestic violence court. It is one of the larger, by caseload, dockets throughout the state. Ada County has a larger caseload just because they have a lot more people, but that's an opt-in program. It is a grant-funded court. That grant runs through September 2015, and then depending if there's continuation grants available, we'll see if we're eligible for those, or we're coming back to the county and probably the agencies to see what kind of funding we can have to keep the integral parts of the program together. With that, I'm very pleased to stand here and thank you as a mayor and as a city council for your continued support for our programs, for our law enforcement programs, for our prosecutor programs, and for our court programs. They are important. They do make a big difference in this community, and we continue to look forward to serving you. Thank you.
Wes, if anybody has any questions for you.
Got one. This is a little overwhelming. You did a great job, and without charts and graphs, too. Appreciate that. How do you measure the success of this program? It sounds almost overwhelming.
The easy way to measure success is the recidivism that we see from the offenders. If we have a reduced rate or no new instances, that's a success. Another way to measure success is, have we taken a dynamic of a family, and let's not joke one another. There's a dynamic going on when there's a domestic violence incident. It's not just one person working there on their own. Have we been able to intervene and get the appropriate resources directed at these individuals so that we've de-escalated the violence in that family? That's a success. Some people will stay with their abuser. Some people will move on. Some people move on only to find another abuser or to abuse another. And so those are the harder ones to measure. But when we don't see the names come back, that's positive. One of the things that we initiated a long time ago, 2002, 2001, is the vertical prosecution, where every case in our office is assigned to a prosecutor by an alphabet. So I get very familiar with the people's names in the alphabet section that I'm assigned to. And that way they don't get lost with somebody that's not familiar with them. I'm familiar with them. And so I see those names. I know what we need to be doing. We know what failed before. That's a measure of success in a way, because we don't see a lot of names coming back for us.
Thanks.
Okay. Any other questions for Wes? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next, we will go on. This is National Community Planning Month, and I will have Lori Burchett from our planning department come up, and I do have a proclamation that I would like to read first. So, the proclamation states, whereas change is constant and affects all cities, towns, suburbs, counties, boroughs, townships, rural areas, and other places, and whereas community planning and plans can help manage this change in a way that provides better choices for how people work and live, whereas community planning provides an opportunity for all residents to be meaningful involved in making choices that determine their future of their community, Whereas the month of October is designated as National Community Planning Month throughout the United States and its territories. Whereas the American Planning Association and its professional institute, the American Institute of Certified Planners, endorse National Community Planning Month as an opportunity to highlight the contributions sound planning and plan implementation make to the quality of our settlements and environment. Whereas we recognize the many valuable contributions made by the professional community and regional planners to the City of Coeur d'Alene, and extend our heartfelt thanks for the continued commitment to public service by these professionals. Now, therefore, I, Steve Widmeyer, Mayor of the City of Coeur d'Alene, do hereby proclaim the month of October 2014 as Community Planning Month in the City of Coeur d'Alene in conjunction with the celebration of National Community Planning Month. Thank you, Lori. I know that you have kind of been the driver of this and have worked to get some programs together. So thank you very much for that. And I'll turn it over to you.
Great. Thank you very much. And I appreciate the opportunity to be able to come here and speak a little bit about planning and what's happening in our community and with other communities across the nation too. But I wanted to really specifically talk about Coeur d'Alene. So I have a little something to say. So we all know that the City of Coeur d'Alene is a great place to live. And the difficulty comes when we're trying to pinpoint exactly what it is that makes this place great and why we choose to live and visit here. We can point to the natural environment where we can swim in the lake and hike at Tubbs Hill. We can look at the artwork that makes us pause on the sidewalk, and to the parks where we congregate and play. There's an intangible aspect. It's that feeling that makes us choose to walk down one street over another. And it's the certain places that enable spontaneous conversation. It's that feeling that draws us in and makes us want to settle in for a while. I like to refer to this as soul. I think that Coeur d'Alene has soul. I believe that good planning helps bring out that soul and instill a sense of community in our great city. As planners, we are under the notion that one thing will eventually lead to another, that the tangible influences the intangible. I believe that planners are community enhancers. We help create places and uses that are both fun and unique, those places which are usable and affordable, and those places that are homegrown and sustainable. Efforts in planning lead to the vitality of our downtown and the connectedness of our neighborhoods. Walkable areas can reduce crime and increase community pride, and great spaces help expand our social networks, as well as encouraging a healthy behavior. All of these are necessary components for a great community. And while we all know that the City of Coeur d'Alene is a great place, we also know that we can make it better. The famous planner, Jane Jacobs, had once observed that cities have the capability of providing something for everybody, only because and only when they are created by everybody. The citizens in our community have the ability to create the place they want to live and even make it better. There's more we can do in our community to keep improving our transportation network, expanding our trail system, encouraging local businesses, providing different housing options, ensuring affordability, and all of the other great things that we can do in our community to make it a safer and better place for us all. And with that, and in conjunction with National Community Planning Month, we encourage our residents to become part of the process in creating these places and spaces. We invite you to submit your images throughout the month for the What Makes Places Great photo contest. Join us for the See Your City group bike ride, and stop in at the Planning Open House on October 29th. And you can feel free to contact the planning office or check on our city's website for more information on these events and others throughout the month.
Thank you, Lori. Anyone have any questions?
Lori, you're relatively new here. You just moved here. Why did you move here?
She got hired.
Right, it's a
Got a
great
job.
place. I think, when I first moved out to the area from Michigan, we lived in Sandpoint. Beautiful, lovely area. And when we moved to Ohio, we knew we wanted to get back to North Idaho. And I had such a good opportunity with the interview process, and I had such a good feeling about the city of Coeur d'Alene that I was happy to take the position and move back to the Panhandle.
Great. Any other questions? Well, thank you, Lori, very much for your energy on this project and your energy in planning. We
Great.
appreciate it.
I look forward to seeing your faces at our different events.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Move on to public comments. If there's anyone that wishes to address the council, they would have 3 minutes to do so, address on matters that relate to city government business. Anyone wish to address the council tonight? Okay, we will move on to the consent calendar.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to ask for permission of council to pass the consent calendar, which includes approval of minutes, bills as submitted, setting of the meeting times for our General Services and Public Works Committees, setting for a public hearing for appeal of a special use permit at 370 East Kathleen Avenue, Suite 800 for proposed commercial recreation within a C-17L zone, and approval of Resolution 14-042, which includes the following items: approval of SS-2-13, the acceptance of final plat, public improvements, approval of maintenance, warranty agreement, and the approval for security for Pereira, 3rd edition. I'm sorry I got that word wrong. Approval of a consultation agreement with Patrick Sullivan, approval of a consultation agreement with Richard Fields, approval of a consultation agreement with Gregory Willett, approval of a memorandum of agreement for PUD 2-14 for the Riviera Walk, letter of agreement with Magnuson McHugh and Company, PA, to conduct our fiscal audit for 2013-14, and approval of a surplus 2002 Pontiac Bonneville sedan number 402 from the wastewater department, and approval of benefit plan changes and renewal rates.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? No discussion seen. Roll call, please, Renata.
Miller,
Yes.
Eddinger,
Yes.
Evans,
Yes.
Adams,
Yes.
McEvers,
Yes.
Kukin.
Yes.
Motion carried. Dan, are you interested in that 2002 Pontiac?
How'd you know?
I figured that might be your style. Announcements. Do we have any announcements from the city council?
Well, I'll take it if no one else will.
There you go.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mayor. So, a lot of things happened because we didn't have a meeting last week. It was an extra Tuesday in the month. So, I had lunch with the streets department, and that was a lot of fun. Those guys are great, and I'm glad that they invite us to come up there and have lunch. It's very good. I was also at the opening of Person Field. We have, the field hasn't really been remodeled completely yet, but the realtors donated a playground equipment, and so I helped set that up. Mr. Eddinger was there, as was Mr. Mayor, and that was a lot of fun. It was really cool to see the neighbors involved and the kids playing, and we discussed that there's going to be a plaque, that Ron and I want to have a plaque there that has, McHugh, that has a Person Field, and it has both purchase dates on it. So, also went to the Four Corners meeting, and I like a lot of the direction of what's going on in there. I think it's a real positive. I would like to see more BLM in there. I think the BLM piece is really big, and that was one of the impressions I got was council wanted to see, and the BLM wants to see, a master plan for that whole area, and I'd like to see more energy go into that piece, because it's a really big piece. The Four Corners looks like it's coming along really great. Went to the Mobile Merchants meeting, and that's an ongoing process. And also, I had the honor of sitting in the booth with my friend Woody McEvers for the governor debate for CDA TV. Welcome back to Jeff Crow. Hope you had a great vacation. And that was just a great experience. So enjoyed it incredibly. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Dan. Any other announcements from council? Okay. I'll have to say that today that Troy and I had lunch with Mr. John Swallow at Dockside, and we were able to look out over the lake. And this is the first time in the 50-some years that I've been here, on October 7th, I saw a young man on a paddleboard with no wetsuit, just in his shorts, paddling from Tubbs Hill all the way over to City Beach. I've never seen that before.
But we got to put a stop to that, obviously.
I don't know how he managed the bugs. Maybe there weren't any bugs out there, but I thought that was something I've never seen before. So I do have an appointment of Roberta Larson to the Arts Commission.
I'd like to move to appoint Roberta Larson to the Arts Commission.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Troy, we'll move on to the Administrator's report.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. What a beautiful day it is. And, oh, by the way, happy new fiscal year. Yes, the city of Coeur d'Alene celebrates a new year, and we are going into our 127th year of this business. So we look forward to a highly productive 127th year. Again, what a great community we live in. On the screen, you will see a member of the fire department working on his own time, collecting money on the annual Fill the Boot campaign. That took place on Saturday, September 27th. And again, this outstanding community on one day, while they are cautiously out in the middle of traffic, this is the only fundraiser we have that you go and are able to do that. They raised over $20,000 for the Muscular Dystrophy Association. That will be one of the top award-winning money-raising days in all the state for firefighters. So kudos to them for doing a great job, and kudos to the citizens for opening their wallets and giving money. Councilman Gookin was part of the team that brought forward the video, which you can now go watch on the governor's debate. You can go to the city's website and pull that up. Thank you for volunteering your time to do that, and it was great to have those candidates here in North Idaho, and we thank everyone that was involved in that program. Tomorrow evening, Mayor, you have a great evening where you are able to be the person at the annual Mayor's Award, and you are the mayor. That will be held tomorrow at 6 p.m. So please don't miss that one, sir, at the Hagedon Event Center. That is a beautiful venue, and that venue is donated. There's no money spent on that great facility. Honored this year will be Jenny Ripplinger for Education in the Arts, Stephen Shortridge for Excellence in the Arts, and Ruth Pratt for Support of the Arts. Again, the Arts Commission presents this. It's free and open to the public. Earlier this year, the police department had received a council approval to apply for a grant from the federal government called the Community Oriented Policing Services. COPS grant for short. This was to hire 3 police officers. In so doing, we were notified last week that we are unsuccessful in receiving that grant. The police department was seeking $375,000, and that would have brought 3 new officers to the city. We are sharing this bad news with you. The chief of the police department has been in my office many times as we strategize going forward on what to do to meet council's goal of hiring new police officers. So that is the bad news that I have this evening.
Troy, we are moving forward with the hiring of these 3 guys then?
We are not.
We are not.
We do not have the funding to hire those 3 officers.
What would you like to see from council to move in that direction?
At this time, I would like to bring you a plan to get your input on that plan.
Okay.
Unless you have $300,000 that you could put towards the plan.
I think between the 7 of us.
Okay. Well, then we can do it right now.
Troy, there's just a question on that. The 375 was over a couple of years. How much were we counting on in this budget year for that?
Probably 150.
So if council chose that we wanted to move forward with that, that's the number that we're looking at, is 150 in this budget year.
Yeah, we are looking to identify a revenue source to carry that forward so that it can carry those officers. We don't have a large number of retirements occurring in our police department. So, yes, the chief is in and strategizing, looking at all our options at this point.
Steve.
And Troy, Dan and I did speak to Chief White a little bit before the meeting regarding the subject. Just wondering what your ETA is on having a plan to present to us.
Well, we have a funding source that we're anticipating in the month of January. So that would be the first new money that I can see in my crystal ball that would be able to help support this. The chief is working any type of positive reorganizations that could take place. So we are putting brain to paper and come back with a plan that we believe could be sustainable and identify that source of revenue. You just approved the budget, and it was pretty tight, and we didn't take any new property taxes. The police department is as fully staffed as I've seen it in a number of years. So he doesn't have any openings at this point. Sometimes that frees up dollars. But yes, your new chief is working hard on what we can do. And so we'll put shoulder behind that and bring something to you.
Thank you.
Thank you. McEwen Field, as this great weather continues to proceed, the great staff in the Parks Department went forward and put out compost called Core to Green. Our communications coordinator came up with Primping McEwen Park. So that byproduct from the city's wastewater utility is a composting material. And you get to see our director of the wastewater utility here tonight. He calls it cake. Not everybody would call that cake, but that, after it's dried out and biosolid, does magic for the grass. So it's looking much better as it enters its first fall at McEwen. Your planning department is doing a great job. You just saw a phenomenal presentation. This is on the city's website. Please be aware that we are looking forward to a great month to talk about planning. And this is a little flyer that we put together on what you can do, and bring us a great photo on what makes this a great place. Mayor and council members are going to be excited to see some of the photography that's coming in that symbolizes our great community. There's some great pictures, so thank you, public, for doing that. Another little project that took place with this phenomenal weather in partnership with Greenstone. This trail connection is over by the soccer complex in the northwest part of town. We put this together with very little money. The city came in with its Cracker Jack crew that can put down asphalt. That's a brand new piece of asphalt in there that provides connectivity both to the park, the soccer complex, the school, and the neighborhood. So if you get a chance to go up around the soccer complex, check that out and see what a good job they did. Our staff members are always going above and beyond. Here's another recognition for that. This is Keith Clemens of the building department. He is a building inspector. He was awarded a graduation certificate from the Kootenai County Emergency Operations Center. In the event that something goes really, really, really wrong in our community and this center has to be activated, there's a number of volunteers that would help out besides the paid professionals that would be responding to a major incident. So Mr. Clemens is on the debris management team. He's been recognized for his organizational skills as well as his assistance. Again, he's doing this on his own time. So they had a great little awards banquet and presented him with a diploma. And hopefully, he will never have to go and do that volunteer job. But in case he does, we are prepared as a community. And that's in partnership with highway districts, fire districts, and all of Kootenai County. There's a new question on our city poll. The question this month is, do you take advantage of free city leaf pickup? Each month we are doing this. That poll question can be found on our city's website, and we'd like to know, as fall comes forward, if you do take advantage of that service that's provided. Leave a message. If there's anything going on that we can assist with at the City of Coeur d'Alene, please leave a message on the mayor's hotline, 769-2220, extension 503. And this great community center, which has the community room in it that we also call the library, has many things going on. This week, on Friday, October 10th at 5:30, the library will be showing a teen movie, Edge of Tomorrow. And at 7, the library will be hosting a novel destinations program sponsored by the Affinity Living Community titled New Directions and Novel Destinations in Roman Archaeology, Uncovering the Ancient City of Gabil, with Andrew Johnson, an assistant professor of classics and history from Yale University. On Saturday, October 11th at 1 p.m., the library will sponsor a Star Wars Reads Day 3, featuring games, activities, snacks, and a costume contest. Please, if you have any questions, dial that number and we'll provide some answers. That ends my report.
Thank you, Troy. Any further questions for Troy? Thank you very much. We will move on to General Services. We have Resolution Number 14-043, Agreement Joint Power Subscribers with ICRIMP. Troy, you're up again.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. You have looked at this a number of times. This would be the agreement that we would ask you to vote on so that the mayor could sign this. ICRIMP is the agency that we've decided to go with to be fully insured. It stands for Idaho County's Risk Management Program. This is their formal agreement. The premium, as set out in your financial plan, will be $336,868. As city administrator, we will save you 5% in about the next 4.5 months as we go forward and educate our staff on a number of different areas. We will take those tests, and I will commit to you that we will get that 5% reduction, which is a nice reduction. In here is one detail about the terrorism coverage. We are recommending to you, as ICRIMP is doing its disclosure, that you do not accept the terrorism risk insurance. It's an added premium of $5,000. We didn't talk a lot about that, but we haven't typically taken terrorism insurance. ICRIMP does cover you, and the specifics in here are written. I also have an insurance agent on council that probably could answer any technical questions, but it's been a good program. They have been very responsive. And unfortunately, we are already using this insurance, so it's good to have it in place. I would entertain any questions you might have. We've touched this quite a few times in the last 6 weeks.
Troy, so the number 336,868, what was the number that we put in our plan? Was it 340?
Right.
It was 340, okay. Any further questions on this for Troy?
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve Resolution 14-043.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Steve?
Mr. Mayor, Troy, do we need to include in the motion to go with your recommendation to exclude the terrorism coverage?
More is always better, in my opinion, so that would be a great... I hadn't seen it come through until late, so we added it here so you could take a look at it.
Yeah, I'll include that in my motion.
Thank you.
Second's good.
Okay. Any other discussion? Roll call, please, Renata.
Ettinger,
Yes.
Evans,
Yes.
Adams,
Yes.
McEvers,
Yes.
Kukin,
Yes.
Miller.
Yes.
Motion carried. Moving on to other business, city logo adoption for City Hall General Government. Again, Troy.
Thank you, Mayor and council members. Renata did a really good job of organizing this particular agenda. What is a logo? A logo is an easily recognizable, reproducible design element. We have a number of them at the City of Coeur d'Alene, and we have been working on this for a few months, and we've had great input. The current logo for the general government would be this one in the left. We've shrunk it down here a little bit so that you can see that we've taken a look at what happens when you shrink it. This proposal tonight would not eliminate this logo for Channel 19 that sits in the middle. It would not eliminate the wastewater logo because there's about 1,219 wastewater steel covers throughout our community. The police logo would not change. This is what our logo looks like with a department under it. The library logo would not change. The fire department logo would not change. This is the logo currently on the mayor's stationery. And this is over here a logo from about 19 years ago that we still have on certain business cards. As that one shrinks down, it gets more and more difficult to see. And this would be one that the chamber has used for a while, City with a Heart. We are proposing, council members, would love you to vote tonight on the process that the staff and in conjunction with our colleagues at the North Idaho College graphics area have been assisting us with for a number of months. We can't say enough about what this great crew has done at North Idaho College. Their instructor, Philippe, has brought forward some of the most talented individuals in our area. The individual that worked on this has been an award winner amongst universities in competitions. And since we presented this to you a couple months ago, we have made some modifications. So we started out with about 45 logos about 6 months ago. NIC students helped us with that first batch. There was about 15 students involved there. A group of staff members looked at this, and we narrowed it down. Since doing all that, we've come up with this basic theme. The one on the left is where we left you a few weeks ago. Since then, we've taken both the impressions from our constituents as well as from professionals and made a change in the separation between the tree and the underlying mountains and the water being just off the distance from the sun. We've also done something that I didn't know what kerning meant, but that is the spacing between the letters. The students at North Idaho College have helped us with that, and we modified the font. So we're giving you a couple of font choices here. So version 1 includes all of those changes. Version 2 is a significant font change. And version 3. Guess which one staff suggests? So now that we're on version 3, why don't we take a look at that? We've done the two in the bottom that show what it looks like with our departments under it. Again, this logo would be designed for the stationery that the mayor uses, as well as what general government uses as we send it out. We believe that it's more modern, flows pretty well. This is not at all rebranding. This is not anything that is going to cost large sums of money. As soon as the mayor uses up his stationery, we would propose that goes up there. As we go into planning month, we would like to have this in the corner of those particular pieces that go out. We will not we will not start with this logo on our vehicles until we use up and turn over those vehicles. So it would be a very slow transition with this. I would entertain any questions you may have, and I'm seeking your approval for this particular design with the inputs that have come from council members as well as constituents as well as paid professionals in this business.
Questions for Troy? Dan, you got to have something, don't you? Come on.
Yeah,
now.
let me make something up.
Okay.
I was discussing this years ago with Mayor Bloom because I thought, like you showed that first slide, we have so many logos. We have so many things on the side of our cars, you know, and the issue is branding. I said we need to do branding for the city, which is where council decides to allocate a big chunk of money, because it has to be a big chunk, and you hire a professional marketing firm, and they come up with something that's a brand, not just a logo. So I know there's a difference in cost, difference in philosophy. This didn't do it. I mean, this is a new logo, and it was also done, I thought, in a very non-transparent way, in that it was kind of like, you know, here we are. And then, you know, we went back and we changed it subtly. And the new font's better, I think. I actually like version 2 myself. But it's just not branding, which is kind of what I wanted. So I do think that it's better than the current logo. So I'm okay with it on that grounds. Financial question for you. So we're going to put this on the mayor's stationery, which is now printed using one-color ink. So that's going to cost us a little more money to print this logo using 4 colors?
It probably would. He doesn't write a lot of letters, though. That price doesn't concern me.
Could we order him to do fewer letters?
Write a lot less.
All right.
So I didn't know I was the center of this logo, but apparently I am.
Those were basically my comments on that. I thought we could have done a little better, and you know, maybe there's going to be will for council in the future to go ahead and allocate some funding for a branding effort and make this a part of it. So I see that as an opportunity.
I would concur with you. The task was not to rebrand, and that would be a strategic opportunity. And we have some great experts on our council, So yes, I picked this project up and am attempting to get it to closure. So I totally agree. It's not rebranding.
And as you assured me, not a huge amount of time on city staff part was put into this project.
No.
Right? And this is kind of honestly, a loosey-goosey way to run a logo with, unless it's a consistent PDF, it's going to be hard to contain that. So I think that my input was that if it's not a branding campaign, and this is something that, some folks think could lead a more modern look for the city and maybe make us look a little more current, that's great. But unless you're going to rebrand everything and make a consistent effort to follow through, I don't think it should be something we invest a huge amount of time and money into. So.
Okay. Any other questions for Troy on this? Woody?
Well, I was just going to say, I was involved going to this meeting for this, and it was really strange, the whole process. Of course, it's kind of artsy, and since I don't relate really well to the arts thing, this was even more confusing. What I did like was, well, first off, I don't really care. Let me make that real clear. But first off, what I noticed was by using the college, so it feels like it's got a little community vibe going to it. And the college students kind of did all this stuff. I'm fine with it. I'm kind of the same with you. I don't think we need to rebrand the city. I mean, we have our history, we have what's important, and that's who we are. This is cool. It's, like you said, new. I don't see us spending a whole lot of money on it, but the whole process is rather odd, very much like art. And so I suppose if we had to spend money, we would go ask the arts for helping us put this together.
Mm-hmm. Are you going to be at the awards tomorrow night for the arts?
I'm not. I'm going to be at that thing down on LCDC tomorrow. No, I can't relate to art. I'm sorry.
So, Troy, this thing doesn't light up at night, does it?
It does not.
Okay.
Any other questions for Troy? So, Troy, then the council would be approving that logo that we see right there, is what?
That would be my hope.
Your hope.
For pretty much use on your stationery.
I do have one question, Mr. Mayor. So this logo that I am a fan of, which I've been very open about right here behind us, is going to eventually disappear altogether or only on the mayor's stationery?
This one, yes, it would slowly go away so that the business cards, when they're reprinted, would go to this logo.
Can I request the old logo stay on my business card? Just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Don't give them away.
Yes, keep them.
Great, thanks.
Any other questions? So we're looking at for a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I would move that council adopt the new logo as presented for City Hall general government use.
Motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Oh, the enthusiasm, I tell you.
Motion carried.
Almost
Next, we will move on to resolution number 14-044, authorizing the Claims Code Enforcement Risk Manager to represent the city in small claims trials. And Mr. Gridley?
Thank you. This is really kind of a housekeeping matter. Occasionally we get lawsuits brought against us in small claims court. And small claims court in Idaho is designed so that lawyers aren't involved. And so we need to have a representative other than a lawyer who can go represent the city in these cases that are occasionally filed in small claims court. And so Judy House in my office has been doing that. Judy's worked for the city for many years and does a good job. And so this is just formally designating her as the person who would be our representative in court. And the way small claims courts work, they try and resolve the cases. You go in pretty informal, talk about your deal, and then the judge issues a ruling. Either side can then appeal that to district court for a total do-over. So, but this is our recommendation to authorize Judy.
Mike, the approximate number of small claims cases we have in a year?
Well, the jurisdiction of the court, I believe, is $5,000, and so, I would say less than a dozen, less than 10. It's just not very many. If it's a case of any size, it would end up in district court. If it's a smaller case, we work pretty hard to resolve those cases if they have any merit, and so.
Okay. Any questions for Mike on this? Kiki?
I just, one thing, is this pretty typical for municipalities and other businesses to have a representative to handle these sorts of things that might not be, say, the head of the legal department?
Well, by statute, we can't have a lawyer, and believe it or not, I am a lawyer, and proof of that, if you want to see it. But
I saw that.
so we can't, it's designed, small claims designed so you don't have to hire a lawyer to go have your dispute heard before a judge. And so this is particular to a municipality. Well, no, it's particular to small claims court. It's sort of no lawyers allowed. Now, if it's a case that we have any concern about, we'll have somebody there watching, an attorney watching, but typically it has been Judy with one of the departments. Wastewater occasionally gets a claim or something like that. So they'll work together to present our side of the case.
So what you're saying is she's been doing it already?
She has been doing it.
And so we're just formalizing that activity?
Yes.
Dan?
Mr. Mayor, thank you. So, Mike, what I'm getting is that we're just going in compliance with Idaho code here.
Yes.
So the code wants us to make an official designation, which is why it's a resolution. And this is a designation for a position or a person?
It's for a person, for Judy to do that, Judy House to do that. She's a longtime employee, has at least a couple more years to go, and so would stay in that position. She handles risk management. When a claim comes in, she helps process it. She works with code enforcement. She wears a lot of different hats, but this is one of them that she has been doing in the past and been doing pretty successfully.
And if she resigns or retires eventually, we'll have to come back and make a new designated person?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Any further questions?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to move for approval of Resolution 14-004, authorizing Claims Code Enforcement Risk Manager to represent the city in small claims trials.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? None seen. Roll call, please, Renata.
Evans?
Yes.
Adams?
Yes.
McEvers?
Yes.
Gookin?
Yes.
Miller?
Yes.
Ettinger?
Yes.
Motion carried. We will move on to the approval of findings and order for ZC-2-14 change to NC Neighborhood Commercial at 602 Garden. This is pursuant to council action that was taken on September 2nd, 2014.
Mr. Mayor, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Well, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to move for approval of findings and orders for ZC 214 602 Garden Avenue, R17 to Neighborhood Commercial.
Second.
We have a motion. We have a second. Any further discussion on this? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Next, we are looking for approval of Council Bill 14-1019, zoning designation ordinance.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to move for approval of Council Bill 14-1019, zoning designation ordinance.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Renata, could you read the title, please?
Certainly. Council Bill 14-1019, an ordinance amending the zoning act of the City of Coeur d'Alene, Kootenai County, Idaho, known as Ordinance Number 1691. Ordinances of the City of Coeur d'Alene by changing the following described property from R17, residential at 17 units per acre, to NC, neighborhood commercial. Said property being described as follows, to wit, plus or minus 0.50 acre parcel at 602 East Garden, and more commonly known as the Old Central School site. Repealing all ordinances and parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing a severability clause, provide for the publication of a summary of this ordinance and effective date hereof.
Roll call.
Adams?
Yes.
McEvers?
Yes.
Gookin,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Eddinger,
Yes.
Evans.
Yes.
Move to suspend the rules, sorry.
Second.
Okay, move to suspend the rules in a second. Any discussion? Roll call.
Adams,
Yes.
McEvers,
Yes.
Gookin,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Eddinger,
Yes.
Evans.
Yes.
Motion carried. We're moving on to the cost-sharing sewer extension demonstration project, 700 block of North 20th. Staff report by Sid Frederickson.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Just give me a moment here to pull up a oops, wrong one. Much luck here tonight. In your packet, you do have a, I think I found it. Finally. You do have a map in there that shows a section of North 20th Street. There are 3 houses there, 3 lots that are not currently served by sewer. There was no extension of the sewer up 20th to the south from Pennsylvania. We don't know why that was not done. There are pockets of that type of situation happening around the city, and we're getting more and more requests, well, can't you do something? As these septic tanks age and fail, and most of these homes were built back in the 50s, there just simply is not enough replacement room. Now, we have taken the position in the past that, well, that's your problem. You have to extend this public sewer. When you're looking at one lot maybe facing a $40,000 or $50,000 bill to do that, it's just cost prohibitive. So in this case here, we do have one lot that has a failed septic on it, and we got to thinking, is there a way that we can go together here and come up with a cost-sharing proposal in which we can get the line extended and share the price of doing that with the neighbors and with the city itself? And we are proposing on this to do this as a demonstration pilot project so that we can come back to you at a later date after we get done with the GIS mapping throughout the city. How many pockets do we have? How big is the elephant in the room? We really don't know at this point. But we are getting, our GIS is getting much more accurate and much better mapping, so we're able to go out there and start delineating these areas in which this is happening. So what we're proposing here is a 50-50 split, kind of, with the street department picking up the paving, wastewater picking up half, and the neighborhoods, the 3 lot owners picking up half. And I'm very pleased to announce to you that all 3 lot owners have signed a letter agreeing to the cost sharing and that they will hook to sewer within 1 year. And that's not a small expense to them either. In addition to the $7,075 that I've noted in here per lot, which includes today's current cap fee, they're going to be out of pocket for the cost of replumbing their house to that sewer lateral on 20th. So if their septic tank is in the back, they're going to have to bring that on around the house and hook it up. So they're facing a pretty good chunk of dollars. But all 3 are agreeable to this. So we would ask for your approval and blessing to go forward with this. Sometime in the spring, when we get an idea how large the problem is, we will put this particular project in front of our rate analyst and say, okay, is this a good bang for the buck? Is this something that the general ratepayer is going to realize a savings over a period of time? How many years is it going to take to recoup these costs? What makes sense? And then by knowing how big the problem is, we can bring that forward to you for your review and make some recommendations for your consideration with regards to policy in the future. And I would stand any questions you might have.
Sid, if I could just do a little math here. Wastewater is scheduled to pay $11,250. However, there's going to be a sewer capitalization fee of $33.25 for each lot, correct?
Correct.
So of the $11,250, you're going to get $9,975 back from the capitalization fees, right?
Your math is good.
So really, if we look at, as a city, what we're out of pocket $12.75 for wastewater after you deduct the sewer
If you look at it
capitalization
from the
fees.
standpoint of a simple cash flow analysis, you're absolutely right. But you have to also keep in mind the purpose and the way the cap fee calculation was determined in the last rate analysis. It is primarily centered around the capital improvement program for both the collection system and for the plant, heavy on the plant side. But there is certainly an element for the collection system as well.
And in addition, these three residents are not paying sewer fees currently, correct?
That is correct.
So as soon as they're hooked into the sewer, they will be paying monthly sewer fees. So
That is correct.
the payback on the whole entire project is going to be rather short-term.
I think it will, and I think that's one of the things we want to look at over the winter here is to get together with the rate analyst, take these project costs, take a look at how big the elephant is citywide, and say, all right, what makes sense? Or if we're going to do a stipend, if we're going to do a cost-sharing approach with an individual that's on a septic tank, we certainly can't afford to put $70,000 into pipe for one house. But we should be looking at what is our long-term goal. Back in the early 90s, we were receiving a lot of state grants for septic abatement. But that didn't pick up all of the tab. We created LIDs to pay some of those costs. Maybe one of the things that we'll be looking at here is a citywide LID to help the citizenry with these costs. I don't know at this point, but this is kind of, to me, was a good opportunity to see how we can do it and then take the project costs and do an analysis on it.
And down the road, Sid, you'll have a report for us as to how many of these projects we have throughout the city.
Yep. I know that there's at least 2 blocks in my own neighborhood that don't have sewer, and they're this same sort of thing. It just didn't happen.
Questions for Sid? Woody?
So you covered most of them, Mayor. So citywide, you know the places that don't pay for sewer, correct? If these...
Yes. You know, we're making the assumption that if a lot doesn't pay for sewer, it's on septic. We have found that some are paying for sewer that are on septic. We have found that some are not paying for sewer that are on our sewer. So, yeah, we have to dig into this with a little bit more diligence.
Gotcha. Okay,
Further.
thanks.
Steve?
So Sid, the property owners that have the failing septic tanks, so their option is either to replace that failing septic tank or get hooked up.
They don't have an option of replacing it.
No.
These lots are too small for Panhandle Health to grant them a permit to replace their drain field. They simply don't have the square footage there. So their option is to abandon the lot or to pick up the tab all by themselves. And if they don't abandon the lot, if they want to continue to have it an occupied dwelling, then they're pumping that tank every couple of months. It's a pretty big burden.
All right. Any other questions for Sid? Thank you, Sid.
I guess what I would do is I would ask you to entertain a motion to authorize us to do that.
Go ahead, Dan.
I'll move to approve staff with moving forward to, or make a motion to approve with staff moving forward with a cost-sharing sewer extension demonstration project for septic tank abatement involving the 3 lots on the 700 block of North 20th.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Well, I learned what cake was today, Mr. Mayor. And next time you guys have a birthday party.
All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sid. We will move on now. We have a public hearing. This is a quasi-judicial hearing is ZC-3-14, zone change of 3615 North Fruitland from R12 to R17. Does any council member have a conflict of interest that should be disclosed? Okay, none seen. There are sign-up sheets in the back of the room for people wishing to testify. The order of this hearing, we will have a staff report. There'll be a speaking element here for open public testimony. We'll have the applicant. If there is a primary opponent, there'll be an opportunity for there and other speakers. So we will start off with the staff report by Sean Holm from our city planning.
All right. Thank you, Mayor, City Council. So tonight you have before you a request for a zone change. It was appealed from a decision that we got from Planning Commission on the 12th of August. And it is a 1.75 acre parcel located between Fruitland Lane and Howard Street and south of Clady Lane. Clady is a private street located right here. It's outlined in yellow there. And the site is currently vacant. So as I just was discussing, they have appealed the decision from Planning Commission to come forward to council. And council must consider the request. There are 4 findings that need to be made for a zone change. They are here, and I will go through them and discuss them. So the first finding is B8, which is that this proposal is or is not in conformance with the comprehensive plan policies. All of this information can be found inside of your staff report. The area falls within the Fruitland Land Use District for the City of Coeur d'Alene in its comprehensive plan, and it is a transition area. There is the definition for transition. Also, you can take a look at Fruitland tomorrow inside of your staff report and your goals and objectives. Finding B9 is that public facilities and utilities are or are not available and adequate for the proposed use. So we have comments here from Stormwater and Streets. It says that they are available and will service the property. Or in your staff report. And finding B10 is that the physical characteristics of the site do or do not make it suitable for the request at this time. Here is a picture of the subject property. As you can see, it's generally flat. There are residential uses both to the north and the south, and it's a fairly easy property to develop. So prior land use actions in the area, as you can see here, anything in green has been approved. There's a number of items that have been approved. Here, if you look very closely, the ZC ones are zone changes over time. The last 2 digits are the year that it happened. Also, there is special use permits that are listed here, such as density increases, extensive impacts, mobile home parks, commercial parking in a residential area, religious assembly here just south of Bosenko. Also, it's important to note here that the property was zoned MH8 and it was rezoned to R12 in 2006, the request by Leela Wilson. And last but not least is finding B11, that the proposal would or would not adversely affect the surrounding neighborhood with regard to traffic, neighborhood character, and or existing land uses. So as far as the neighborhood character goes, we took a look at the 2007 comprehensive plan for Fruitland today. There's a descriptor there describing the area. And we also took a picture of the subject property and provided that. Traffic information was provided by our engineering department and expects about 11 average daily trips during the AM peak hour and 10 during the PM peak hour period for an R17 use. Here's a conceptual site plan. It's important to note that we do not do conditional zoning, so this may or may not be what we actually see happen on the site. It's important to note that if R17 is passed, that those uses in R17 are what govern the development for the site. Generalized land use pattern. So as you can see, this area in blue right here is this area in the city where that lovely cake is produced. We also have our blue is the religious assemblies here. The red is commercial, so we do have some storage here as well as the car wash and oil change. Everyone knows the Fred Meyer area. Right here is the property, why is it escaping me? Meadow Ranch. And R17, or multifamily dwelling to the north. These are basically townhomes on Clady Lane that I'd mentioned earlier. The site is currently vacant, and then the mobile home park is the green color. That's the makeup of the area.
What's the density north of there?
It
says it's MFD. What's the density on that?
We do not have a defined density. We have what the zoning will allow, but what is currently exists as a whole, we don't have.
So what's the zoning?
That's the next slide.
Okay.
So
practiced.
M is manufacturing zone. That is the gray, which is here and here. This property is zoned R17 with a PUD. That's why it has the striped color to it. A very large portion of this area is zoned MH8, which is mobile home at 8 units per gross acre is what that stands for. And we also have some R17 PUD down here south of Niter. The red is the commercial. This is Golden Corral and the area that is associated with the Golden Corral, and then also the special use permit for parking, which is on this R17 piece right now. That is the zoning of the area. Once again, these are the 4 findings that must be made to approve or deny without prejudice. We do have 2 recommended conditions from the engineering department. And City Council must consider the zone change request and make appropriate findings to approve, deny, or deny without prejudice. And you can find your findings worksheet, which is attached to the staff report. If there's any questions.
Any questions for Sean? Dan?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Sean, going back to the comp plan, R17 district is appropriate as a transition between low-density residential and commercial districts or as a buffer between arterial streets and low density. Can you explain to me what that means, transition and buffer?
Sure. Transition, if you have a lower density neighborhood, you generally do not put commercial right next to that because they're usually not compatible in use unless it's master planned that way, like Riverstone or something like that. So you basically progress your zoning so that you have compatible uses as you get to a commercial center. So R17 is our highest density zone without a special use permit, so they're generally located next to a commercial area or something else that is not exactly R3 or R1.
So it can fit just about anywhere then, would that be a good take on that?
It can fit in
most places.
almost any place.
Okay, and so we're talking about Fruitland tomorrow, still in the comp plan. Generally, this area is envisioned as a commercial corridor with adjacent multifamily uses and will maintain a mix of housing types. So multifamily uses, does that mean that, one like a townhome or a duplex, that kind of thing?
The way that our code defines multiple family is that you need to get beyond a duplex. So you get to a third unit or something that pocket housing can be considered multifamily if it's all attached.
Apartments?
Apartments, yes. And those allow like second story entrances, like the catwalks that you see on the outside of apartments. That's a typical R17 development.
Okay, and it says single and multifamily housing should be located adjacent to compatible uses. Do we determine that, or is that part of the zoning?
That is, it's up to council to determine whether or not the makeup of the neighborhood would fit an R-17 use or not.
Okay.
Based on the staff report and information that was presented tonight.
Yeah, I think that does it. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. John.
Woody?
Can you go back to that history? I mean, this goes back to a time when I was on Planning and
Sure.
Zoning Commission.
Changes over time?
This area's been changing forever.
There it is. It's a lot
There
of
was a
green.
time when all the trailer parks were trying to get rid of them all, and we, as I remember, the commission said, no, we don't want to make that decision. You know, it was kind of kicked down the road, I guess, is a way to look at it, because nobody wanted to put the people out of the trailer parks because the trailers were so old. There was no place for them to go. So the deal was, you as an owner of the property, you want to do something with your property with these old trailer homes, you have to find a place for these people. And that's how it slowly progressed to now what we have, that big commercial frontage on the corner where all those developments are. So my question here is, as this is developing, we have to somewhat project out where it's going to go. Right, what it's done, that R12 just north of the piece. Can you tell us a little about that?
The piece right here?
Correct.
On Clady Lane? Actually, it was developed prior to Howard Street being pushed through. So at that time, it only had one frontage off of Fruitland Lane, although they had to provide access for fire through the Howard side. Gotcha. So it was kind of in limbo until Howard was actually punched through. They decided, for aesthetics of the look of the area, to basically meander the street so that you had some facing north and some facing south in its townhome development. It was, there was a zone change. I don't know, I'm sure it was MH8 prior to this. In 2004, it was changed to R12.
That PUD, that R17 PUD down the kind of the side of the cliff there, or I guess we call it hillsides.
Oh, Meadow Ranch?
Meadow Ranch. That was like...
It actually doesn't get steep until right here.
So
it does have some slope, but it gets steep.
Okay, and didn't that have some background on pushing Howard through?
I believe that did. That's more of a question for our engineering department and what the drivers were for Howard.
And then the project down on Niter?
Yes.
Think that might have had something to do with Howard pushing through also?
Oh, I'm sure that all the development in that area has played a part in ensuring that there's the proper fire access and correct frontages and things like that.
But I guess my point is there hasn't been a lot of development between Fruitland and Howard, correct? Just that one above us and in the corner where they put the church. But the storage units have been there forever.
They have been there for quite some time. The religious assemblies are fairly new. One of them's been there for a while. One is fairly recent. Right. They just recently went through a special use permit.
Okay. So there really hasn't been any real major developments other than the one above this parcel and down on Niter.
And below Niter, yes.
Below Niter. And then, of course, the PUD, Meadow Ranch.
Correct.
Okay. Thanks.
Ron.
I read here in the minutes of the Planning Commission that the Planning Commission voted this down.
Correct.
For what reason?
They felt that R17 did not fit the neighborhood, that they felt that a lower...
R17 didn't fit the neighborhood?
That was, yeah, you can take a look at the findings in there, and that's basically what that conclusion comes to is.
Any other questions, Ron?
No, that's it.
Okay, Steve.
Mr. Mayor, thank you. So, Sean, just so I'm 100% perfectly clear, the developer could build this exact same project with 10 fewer units at the current zone.
Well, it wouldn't be the exact same, but if you take a look on page 8 of your staff report, just below the zoning map there is some calculations that I'd come up with.
That's what I'm looking at.
Density. So you can take a look at R17 which is 1 unit per 2,500 square feet of land, that they would be able to put in 31 units versus an R12. What is currently zoned is 1 unit per 3,500 square feet at a total density of 22 units. So very close to 10.
But I mean, as far as the design goes, it could be
As
exactly,
well,
or-
like I
yeah.
mentioned earlier, so if with R17, the zoning goes with the property, and we don't conditional zone, so we don't require someone meet a certain design when we do a zone change. So anything that R17 allows and the density that R17 allows could potentially be on that property.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any further questions for Sean?
One more.
What?
Talk about conditional zoning a little. You're saying that they can come to us with a plan, but we can't make it stick to the zoning. Is that?
Correct. There are some cities that do conditional zoning. We traditionally have not, at least certainly not while I've worked here, is someone could come forward with a proposal, and they could make that proposal conditional with the zone change. So you have to do the project this way. We've done similar things in the past with your time being on Planning Commission for special use permits and making them meet their site plan or whatever they had produced for the hearing. But zoning is traditionally a use by right. So whatever uses are listed as C-17 uses, that's the way we've handled the zoning in the past, is if you pass a zone, these uses are okay.
So, okay, I got that. So, special use permit. In theory, that could be used in this? If you wanted to come in and go, I need to do a special use permit to get the density.
If they, and I'd have to look for an R12, I believe they can ask for a density increase, although it's not to an R17 standard. In an R17, you can ask for a special use permit up to R34, which is potentially doubling what their request is. And special use permit goes to Planning Commission and stops at that level unless it's appealed. So council wouldn't get another crack at it unless it was appealed.
Thank you.
But that's how special use permits work.
Anything else for Sean?
I have one quick
Amy.
question. On page 3 of the staff report, Dan touched on many of my questions under the comprehensive plan. The second to last area there, the characteristics of Fruitland neighborhoods will be, in the first bullet states, the overall density will approach 8 residential units per acre. And that's the recommendation from our comprehensive plan.
For the entire Fruitland
area. Okay.
Not specific to any single property, but yes.
Right, thank you, Sean.
You're welcome.
Now we will have 10 minutes for the applicant to make a presentation, if an applicant wishes to come up, and don't have to use all 10, but... Okay.
I think there's one away. Let me get that queued up for you.
Can I just pass these out to them? I don't know if I can go.
I can bring them.
Oh, perfect.
Do you need one?
Yeah, I'll take one.
Just
Yeah.
as a backup.
Absolutely.
Okay, so if we could have you state your name and address, and then you'd be sworn in.
Okay. My name is Ray Harding, Spokane, Washington.
Okay. And Renato will swear you in.
Right here, sir.
Okay.
Do you swear that the testimony you are about to give is the whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Okay. Got 10 minutes.
10 minutes. All right. I'd like to introduce Steve Circle here, one of the engineers that we're working with right now. You are looking at the proposed property that we are looking at having that zone changed. When you looked at some of the earlier pictures, and I brought you a colored one, you can see all of the different R17s that have been changed over the last few years, and there's several of them. When you look at how Howard and Fruitland has been positioned, ingress, egress to get in and out from 2 different arterials is incredibly easy. In fact, hardly gets used.
Mr. Mayor, could you... Excuse me, Sean, we're getting a lot of noise up here from talking back.
Just forward it.
I'm sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, that's okay. We're asking for this zoning change, and Barbara Walters, you've seen this. Coeur d'Alene's been looked at as one of the top 10 places to live. And then Lori from the planning department, she did an outstanding job for us, talking about why do we want to put this, why do we want to develop this piece of property? And again, we're trying to create an atmosphere that is conducive to Coeur d'Alene. We're also trying to create opportunities for seniors to have an affordable place to live. And at the present time, there's not many options out there for seniors that are, and your senior, through the demographics and the consensus that we've done, 25% of your population here in Coeur d'Alene are now seniors, and they can't find places to live that are affordable. So we're trying to provide an opportunity in developing this. And if you look on the north side, if you look at those triplexes that are just on the other side, there's 21 units there with big yards. And, one of the other intentions is to, as, Coeur d'Alene has this transition that they talk about, and this conceptual, what they're trying to do with this area there with the commercial corridor, they're trying to improve this area, and so we're asking council to approve our request. The property, as you've heard earlier, has all of the utilities there. Everything from sewer, ingress, egress, electrical, fiber optics. Stormwater will be controlled. Street sidewalks will be in place. Everything is at the street, at both ends.
Extend back? Yep.
Yeah. Anytime you want to talk about any of this.
Yeah.
We've incorporated the ease of what it would be like for senior citizens to be able to navigate from the property to shopping. There is a website out there that gave that particular area a 71% for ease for seniors to be able to get to the pharmacies and get to shopping areas. Medical facilities are close by. There's just a tremendous amount of resources available for everybody that lives in that particular area. When we start looking at what the household incomes are for some of these seniors, it's below $30,000 a year. And so we've been trying to make this affordable for our seniors. And again, the Chamber of Commerce has, they've addressed the problem that they're getting a tremendous amount of phone calls looking for places where seniors can live, and there isn't anything available. We gave you a pie chart to kind of give you an idea of what the income is, and we've given you guys that black and white. I know it's kind of hard to read. But I can also make this PowerPoint presentation available to you in color. Our conception here shows ingress and egress. We have met, when we started looking at, have we met all of the criteria that the city has requested of us? And we have. Through this conceptual idea, we can show ingress, egress. We can show the number of units. I brought in a board. The weather was really nice tonight. And A little bit about me that you guys don't know. I've been teaching for many, many years. I've been a property developer during those 30 years. With the weather being so nice, I know you're not going to believe me that I rode this all the way from Spokane.
Please step in front of the podium. We can't
Yeah.
hear you.
Okay. But anyway, one of the things that we're also proposing with this site for our seniors is a rec club of some sort that would be made available to the community. I've been teaching technology, industrial technology programs for, like I said, 30 years. And this is something that we'd like to incorporate for our seniors. This has become it's become so popular with a lot of the people that I deal with. It's a laminated, vacuum generated longboard. And these are just some of the activities that we would also bring into our facility. So we're trying to create an atmosphere that would be really conducive to everybody that lives there, along with computer design, what's in a computer box, things of that nature, because as you guys know, a lot of our seniors are pretty, they don't have a lot of experiences with computers. I've got another picture up here. You know, when you ask, who am I? Well, I've been coaching. I've been fortunate to have won 10 Greater Spokane League championships as a basketball coach. Right here, we're demonstrating some airbrushing techniques. And again, this is something that we'd like to incorporate into our rec center, things that would be available for all of our seniors. This was Dairy Farmers of America. This one student here won $17,000 on that cow right there. So the walk score, if you went to walkscore.com, you'll get some information talking about the ease of being able to navigate from their home to some of the surrounding stores and pharmacies. And, and again, we talk about, does this make sense for the community? And absolutely it does. One of my viewpoints is that it really starts to enhance that area. It promotes, new housing, and I think some of those older homes that are around there may start seeing the need to start making some changes as time moves forward. So, and with that, I've got Steve here.
Just as rules here is that you have the 10 minutes to give your presentation, then he will have 5 minutes afterwards to speak as well. So if you wanted to wrap up your part, and then he can come in with his part.
So is this time for some questions too? Do I need to?
Yeah, if there's any questions.
You guys have some questions so I don't run out of time?
Yeah, I do. And I know you provided a map, a kind of a architectural rendering right there.
Yeah, that conceptual drawing there?
Conceptual drawing, that's the words I'm searching for. How many units are you going to be putting in there?
Well, as you heard earlier, there's a formula that we have to follow. 2,500 square feet divided by 2 acres, it's just a little bit under, it's like, let's say, 1.75 acres. So if you did the math at 76,000 divided by 2,500, we're not allowed to put in with the ingress and egress for emergency vehicles getting in and out. And with some of the other features, we're looking at probably right around 30 units.
Okay.
Mathematically.
And I counted the parking spaces, and I counted 44.
1.5 is what is required, and we meet that. And now, one of the things that you need to be aware of with seniors, some of them have lost their driver's license because of medical reasons. Some of them just don't drive. They don't have that confidence anymore. And again, that's why it's so nice to be so nice and close. So we have met, at 1.5, we have met the requirements for the density for parking and the density for that piece of property going onto that property there.
I can't read what it says on those rectangular buildings that are horizontal. What are those?
Can't read them either.
Three housing units.
Oh, 3 units, okay, thank you.
Yeah, we strategically moved a couple down because we kind of split the property in half is what we did from Howard and Fruitland. Because it's 600 and, I can't remember, 600 some odd feet in depth, long bowling alley, 130 wide. And so we kind of split it in half, and we just tried to look at the units that we can put on there according to the density regulations.
Okay, thank you.
Woody?
So Ray, this density that we've been talking about is not R12.
This would be R17.
R17.
That's what we're asking you to make the change to.
Correct. Are these single level, multi-level?
Single level, right. And the property on the adjacent side, on the north side, there's 21 units over there, and they're multi-units. But again, we kept it one floor level for our seniors.
Okay.
Any further questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And now we, following the procedure and orders here, if there is a primary opponent, there was no one that was signed up on the list that was opposed to this, but this would be a time where a primary opponent would have an opportunity to speak. So is there anyone in the audience that wishes to do that? Okay, so seeing no primary opponent, then we will move on to the open public testimony. And then, Mr. Circle, you were signed up, and you're up.
Yes, I'll swear you
I
in.
figured
Thank
you
you.
would, yeah.
Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give is the whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you.
So just a reminder here is, so Mr. Harding, your testimony is over. The 10 minutes you have is over. Now each person has 5 minutes.
Good evening. For the record, Steve Circle, address 1859 North Lakewood Drive, Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. I was asked to come here, and obviously I'm going to be the engineer of record for this property, but I got a lot of history with the property. In fact, that's real similar to my design back in '08 when we had it approved and ready for construction. If you recall, I was here and I presented that, and we did the zone change at that time because that's what made sense then. But what we did struggle with a little bit is we had a lot more land that we really would have liked to have been able to utilize more, but at that time we were looking at individual townhomes type scenarios, if you remember, Mr. McEvers. But I like this plan here, and I was asked to come and speak upon that, and as I've reviewed it, on a technical standpoint, it certainly, the infrastructure is there. It can support what we have here, and I'm glad to see that it hasn't changed much. We've looked over the years, the property owner's been trying to keep this alive, and the reason why it didn't develop back then is, well, of course, we all remember the economy took a turn, so thankfully he's been able to keep that all these years, and he certainly would love to see this being developed. It was formally designed, water, sewer, storm, and I see no reason why we couldn't still comply with that today, with the density there. So with that, I wouldn't necessarily need all my time, but I would answer any technical questions you might have.
Any questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have a Richard Sasher that wishes in favor and wishes to testify.
Mayor, council members, name is Richard Sasher. Live at 3948 South Stats Road.
Okay, we need to have you sworn in, please.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay. Do you solemnly swear the testimony you are about to give is the whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you.
Okay. I've been a 9-year resident of the Panhandle area, northern Idaho, Bonner County, and Coeur d'Alene. I recently turned 65. I'm a senior. I'm presently living on a very reduced income, Social Security. So affordable housing is of a personal concern to me. And since my income has been reduced so much since I left the workforce. I am in favor of this project. I think it's a great project, and listening to all the testimony and also your questions, it occurs to me that the crux of the concern that the members of the council and the mayor might have has to do with, well, why can't you just do it R12? Why can't you just put a reduced number of units on this property? And it occurs to me, well, maybe it's not financially viable for the developer or for the owner of the property. So that has to be taken into consideration. If they're not given the R17, then they may not be able to do anything with it. And then, so from my standpoint, I think that's a lose-lose for the city, for the community, for the senior citizens who need this type of accommodation. So I just want to say that I'm in favor of the project, and I hope that you will all see it the same way. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Those were the only two that I had on this list. Is there anyone else that wishes to testify? If so, I'll need to sign up on the sheet. Yeah, I'll need to get him signed in on the sheet.
Thank you, Mayor. Appreciate it. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
You want to just state your name and address, and then Renato will swear you in.
Okay. You hear me okay? Okay. My name is Eddie Keith, and I live at 3849 South Stack Road in beautiful Cougar Gulch, and I am the owner of the lot that's in question this evening.
Okay, if I can swear you in, please.
Okay.
You solemnly swear that the testimony you are about to give is the whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
Thank you.
Just real quick, I just want to state my position here concerning the lot and the history of the lot. I purchased this lot back in 2006, and I've, for the purpose of, at that time, wanted to put senior housing. It was M8H then, mobile home. And of course, that area of Fruitland, Howard did not exist. And Fruitland, that whole area needed some improvement. And I wanted to bring improvement to that area. Because from what I understand, with the comprehensive growth plan in the city, that area, that whole geographic part of the city is called an area in transition, where we want to take it from what it is to something new and improved, to keep in mind, or to go along with the idea of providing a service, housing for senior housing, as I'm approaching that myself. And anyway, along with what you see right here, you're not able to look at the lot. You saw the lot. It looks like a long bowling alley. But there are a lot of mature trees on that lot. And in keeping with the city's desire to maintain the beauty of the city and to maintain attractiveness for the seniors that are going to be living there, we are going to incorporate as much as possible within the architecture, the landscape architecture, many of the trees that are already located on the property, so it'll give it a nice mature look and maintain the beauty of what the city's looking for in our neighborhoods. And also, I've seen this area in transition. I've seen the growth, and there's been some changes. I wasn't able to proceed with a similar plan that I brought before you a few years ago, simply because we all know the economy went upside down. Quite a few things went upside down at that time in 2008, 2007, 2008.
along with my personal income, because I was involved in real estate. I've been a resident here for 24 years, and I was involved in real estate for 22 of those 24 years. And also during that course of time, I worked with many seniors trying to find senior housing, affordable housing for seniors. It's virtually non-existent in this town, and the key word is affordable. A nice place to live. And anyway, the good Lord gave me the ability and the financial wherewithal to hang on by my fingernails until the economy has made a turn. And I've seen the Golden Corral come in. That was a zone change from what it was, because I think I remember it was an old mobile home park, MH8, listed by Tom Fisher. At that time, he was with C21. I think Woody remembers that. And that's now the beautiful Golden Corral and the Buffalo Wild Wings. Well, with these excellent needs that I have from my lot, just to give you an idea where it's located, from that lot, where those little arrows are at this end, I walk from there to the Golden Corral in 90 seconds. Freddie Meyer, make a quick turn to the left, you're there in 2 minutes. That gives you an idea of where this lot is located. And we talked about the walk score. The walk score fell somewhere between 69 and 71. Well, the average in this city, our beautiful city of Coeur d'Alene, for senior citizens, the score on that walk score is 36. That lot puts them between 69 and 71. So if they lose their license or medical reasons, they can't drive anymore, they can easily walk. And I've actually had a couple of residents in the mobile homes that are right beside them, made up mainly of retired people, senior citizens. They can walk to the Golden Corral and say, we don't have to cook anymore. The Golden Corral's right there. And so that makes a pretty good point as far as the livability and the comfort factor. And that's what we want to bring. And that's what Ray and I want to bring, is the comfort factor. 1 bedroom, 1 bath, affordable units, slab on grade, wide doors. They'll be built to accommodate seniors. And that is a fulfillment of my wishes and dreams, and why he let me hang on, so we can do something positive for the community. And that's what we want to do, is create housing for senior citizens. It's 9/10 of a mile to the Kroc Center from Howard, where those 2 little arrows are. 9/10 of a mile with all the programs. We're within 5 minutes of the Kootenai Medical Center, that fantastic medical facility that we have. We're only 5 minutes from the hospital, from that lot for seniors. We've checked on the bus routes. The bus routes already come to the HUD housing right there, which is just a block and a half south. Give you an idea of the location. We are centrally located with everything that surrounds that area to accommodate senior citizens. And I'm just asking for your blessing to give us the opportunity to provide housing for seniors, which comprise 20% of our population. And a lot of them can't find a decent, affordable place to live. And we want to put that right there for them. And I just want to say thank you very much, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak, Mayor, council members. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So next is Aaron Curdy? Curdy, yes, if you could. So if you would state your name and address, and then Renato will swear you in, please.
My name is Aaron Curdy. I live at 7801 North Fairborn Lane, Coeur d'Alene, Idaho.
Okay. Do you swear that the testimony you're about to give is the whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes. My family's one of the owners of the property on Clatty Lane. Actually own 17 of the 20 units, so there are 20, not 21 units there. We think this is a great idea as well. I mean, if you did put the senior housing in there, I mean, it's a great opportunity. But our fear is that once you pass R17, then right next to that, then you're going to go commercial or the special uses, because then it's easier to get past. And I know that's why I believe that the commissioners denied it, is because they were afraid of the different uses that it could turn into. I mean, this does look great, but there's no certainty that this is what's going to happen. So that's kind of our main concern with it. And I mean, I know that this property, when my family bought Clatty Lane, or the 17 units there, about 2 years ago, this property was for sale. I don't know how long they've been trying to sell it, but obviously, I mean, this property can't do a lot with it with a R12, because you can only put 20 units there, so you got a cap rate issue. I mean, investors aren't going to make any money off that, so it's difficult to come in and do anything. So, we're not sure what's going on with it. If obviously this looks like a good dream if that's what was going to happen, but I mean, there's no certainty that this is what's going to take place there.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to give public testimony?
Hi.
So please state your name and address, please, and be sworn in.
Yep, I'm Rachel Link, and my address is P.O. Box 3510, Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, 83686. Right, 83. We just moved here. 8316. That's what it is.
And we'll have you be sworn in, please.
Okay.
Okay, I can swear you in. Do you swear that the testimony you're about to that you are about to give the whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Okay, so you'll have 5 minutes.
Okay. I just wanted to speak on behalf of what you said. I helped a lot with this PowerPoint, and one of the things I did want to say is we are under oath when we say what this plan is as well. There is not any ulterior motives to do something different with it. And that was one of the big issues when there was the planning committee, and that was a little bit frustrating because you're under oath saying this is what you're planning to do. There isn't another plan. So I wanted to go back and I just wanted to talk a little bit more about the numbers. We did find the most current data and information showed that currently all types of senior housing, there's waiting lists. And when you go to the Fruitland tomorrow, and we just see what they say, the city envisions this area as a commercial corridor and adjacent to multifamily uses. It's a transition area, meaning the street network, the number of building lots, and general land use are expected to change greatly within the planning period. So, going back to what the city wants, it looks like we're in ordinance with what the city wants. And I just wanted to hit on some numbers I think got skipped across fairly quickly. There's been a 41.9% growth spurt in the last from 2000 to 2010 census here in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. It's a beautiful place to live. A lot of people want to live here. And when you look at the percentage of the U.S. population, 65 years of age and older, it's expected to increase by nearly 60%. And is Coeur d'Alene ready for that transition and for housing? Then the other number I really wanted to hit on is, 25% of current population is age 55 and older. 2,686 households, so people making sometimes, or more than one person in a household, are making less than $30,000 per year. So when you look at that, it's 41% of people age 55 and older are making less than $30,000 a year. We want to make sure that there's places for them to live, and this is a perfect opportunity to do it. The land is set up great. The area right next door, the mobile housing unit, I believe is 55 and up. We've had a lot of people say from that mobile home area say, wow, that's a really cool idea that you're doing. A lot of people are in favor of it. So that's pretty much all I have to say.
Okay. Thank you. Anyone else wishing to testify? So we will allow the applicant to just have a summation.
Well, again, as Rachel mentioned, we're under oath. So what we're proposing here is sincerity. This is what we are planning on doing. Number one. Number two, when you heard earlier from Sean about B8, B9, B10, B11, we have met and exceeded, and we plan on exceeding all of our standards, what we shared with you. We are planning on exceeding what we've proposed tonight. So what we're asking you to do for us is just change the color. That's all we're asking you to do. Just change the color on the map.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
The question I had is that what are your projected rents for the project?
You know, that's interesting because Coeur d'Alene City, and I don't know if you know this or not, there are grants and there are some federal dollars that are potentially out there for seniors in the city of Coeur d'Alene, not in the county, in the city. And our projected rents right now are probably going to have to be under $800, which may include utilities. So as we start penciling this out, it's going to be rough, and that's the reason why we ask you to change the color for us. We can't do this without you changing the color.
Okay. Woody.
So you understand what Planning Commission did about the R17, and that the 12 doesn't work for you. Is that correct?
Correct.
R12. So the Meadows is a PUD. Is that a direction you have looked at or considered?
You want to answer that one, Steve?
I could help. To get the color changed.
Excuse me, Renata, is that going to be okay to have another person join in?
Mr. Circle's still under oath, but it really should come out of the time frame for the rebuttal.
Okay.
So that means a yes?
Go ahead, yeah.
Okay, that's a great question. You know, you look at the Meadows and the size of that project, it really showed a PUD and it made sense. I just don't think we have the land size to really need the PUD because the land's really going to dictate the density of what it's going to support. And so we're not going to be at the maximum, but I feel that we can go more than the R12, and that's why we're proposing.
And I get that, and I appreciate the oath. You guys are the first ones that ever said, well, we're under oath, so what we said we're going to do, we're going to do. Oh, I wish it was so easy. Right, Michael? Yeah. Unfortunately, it doesn't work that way for us interpreting the rules and things. So, yeah, I mean.
But it's still nice to hear.
Okay.
Any other questions? Amy, did you?
Well, I just want to commend you for all this work. It sounds like a fantastic project and one that our community would benefit greatly from. But really what we need to focus on is the land use and the density there. And I do appreciate your oath, but something could come along that prohibits the project from going through if we happen to change it. I wouldn't mind if Sean could approach and answer the question that Woody just had about the special use permit.
For a PUD?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So.
Thank you.
Regarding a PUD, the minimum
Mhm.
lot size,
Mhm.
it's 1.5 acres
Okay.
is the minimum PUD.
It's what?
1.5
1.5
acres.
acres.
So, Sean, this project could be brought back as a PUD. I guess the problem being is that I see is that if it's changed to R17, we talked about the oath, but even though they're under oath, if the project for some reason doesn't go, it's changed to R17, they could sell it to someone else that could build whatever.
As long as R17 allowed it, correct?
Yeah, as long as R17. A PUD, they could come in with this same exact plan under a PUD and get that approved, which would say, yes, they're going to build this project.
Correct.
Correct, okay. Dan?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Sean, so if they go ahead and improve this and we make it 17, does that make it easier for the property to the south to eventually be rezoned commercial?
Once again, we'd still have to make those same findings that we would tonight. But similarly zoned properties do tend to proliferate, I guess, is the easiest way to state that.
And is there any guarantee that this is senior housing? I mean, is there anything to prevent, I mean, maybe that's a question for you guys to see. So once you come in and you build a thing and you say it's senior housing, can it change to something else after that? Or because federal money's involved, you can't? I don't understand that part.
I'm not going to be able to answer if they accept federal money and the dynamics in that scenario. But
Okay.
if they were to build it, they were wildly successful and said, okay, now it's my time to retire and see the sunset, the next owner could use it in any sort of C-17 manner that they saw fit.
R-17.
Or R-17, sorry.
Okay. Very good, thank you.
Just one for Sean.
Kiki.
So if this developer had to go through the PUD process, how much longer would that add to today's time frame for them to start over with that, if by chance they chose to look at that option?
I am not able to guesstimate exactly how long it would take them to prepare the documents for a PUD. It's a fairly involved process, so they're going to ask for certain things to happen. It's like they may want sidewalks on one side, they may want to reduce parking. It allows them to adjust some of the requirements for zoning. That's what a PUD essentially does. And the reason why we do a PUD is so that we can get a little more out of the development for allowing the rules to be bent. And that's basically what a PUD allows, and it's done by review. So once we receive an application, a completed application, it takes about 6 weeks for us to process that application and then get them to Planning Commission. That being said, a PUD is reviewed by Planning Commission, and they make a determination for the PUD portion of it. The zone change goes to Planning Commission and then to Council. So you do have that extra time that it takes to move from Planning Commission to Council for an approval of the zone change. But they do run in tandem, so.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any further questions for either Sean or Ray? Ron, did you have something?
Oh, I was going to say something, but I don't know if I want to say it.
So you're just going to keep us in suspense?
I have maybe a question for Ray. Did I hear you say that you were talking about adding an additional building for recreational activities into this?
Yeah, we're trying to incorporate that into our facility. We think that's mandatory.
And so there's enough, okay. And so have you looked at this? If there was overflow parking from this, where would that parking go?
Well, there's actually, when we put this conceptual idea together, we were looking at 2 cars per unit. And so right now with the square footage that's available, we easily meet the 1.5 requirement. So visitors coming in or people that don't drive, there's plenty of parking space.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you. So that is we will close the public testimony on that, and then we will seek council action. Thoughts? Quiddy.
I need to do some thoughts. I'm not going to make a motion right at the moment. Well, of course, I think we all somewhat support the project, whether it's senior or anything. It's a great place to live. Might be for us old guys that want to climb stairs anymore. I like the idea of one floor, and I can't drive. I can ride my skateboard down to St. Vinny's or one of those places. I like the density. I like the fact that they're mashed in there. It's no worse than apartments and stuff, but they have their own space. I think the location is awesome because, well, the walk score, I've never heard that, but it makes sense because that whole area there is walkable. It's good ingress, egress. Fruitland and Howard's just a monster road right now. Fruitland used to be kind of a pain to drive on, and now it's got some stop signs, so it's a little safer, but Howard's just a great street. It's kind of one of those secret streets that not everybody knows about. I like the idea that it's close to commercial. I mean, across the street for a buffet, if you're into that, but Fred Meyer's just around the corner. There's a church up there. That whole Fred Meyer's area there seems to have a lot of different things. Eddie talked about trees. I thought that was cute. Eddie, you're funny. But trees are cool, you know. If you can work them and you're in oath, he was under oath when he said he was going to save the trees. It kind of leaves me down to that Meadow Ranch PUD, you know. I don't like to think that this couldn't work, but you kind of, hopefully you get a vibe that we're not comfortable saying it's R17, even though I think R17 would probably do fine there, because R17 is very broad. It's not just commercial. There's duplexes and apartments and things like that. But I get the gist that we just kind of like the past. We didn't want to throw out the trailer folks, so we don't want to move too fast. But now those guys are gone, and it's hardcore commercial. It's red. So my vibe on it is I'd love to see it go. I can understand the dilemma with whether you're under oath or not. R17 is just a little too dense, but I think you could make it work with a PUD. And it would probably be worth the effort, the sincerity on the seniors, the trees, all the good things that are about this, to just commit yourself to doing a PUD, and then you have to do it. And you know what? You don't have to be under oath then.
Dan.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I'd also like to thank Mr. Keith for the tree comment. That was very cool. Anytime when we just put in that big one up on Ramsey where they took out all the trees, and that was very disappointing. So it's good to hear that you're going to make efforts to keep in those trees. So I'm looking at the comp plan, which is what P&Z used to deny this. And they talked about the 8 units per acre. And it says characteristics of Fruitland neighborhood will be that the overall density will approach 8 residential units per acre, 8 to 1. But the next line says that single and multi-family housing should be located adjacent to compatible uses. And if you look at the property to the north, you have the R12. And so, you know, and there's, I guess, 3 units, three houses per unit there, or whatever, however you want to talk about that. They're a triplex. And so I'm going, okay, so you're moving south, so you go to that density, and then you can go to a higher density. And to me, that does work. That kind of fits in to the whole thing. So that, and given that this area is considered transition, and I mean, if you look at the color chart, it's a quilt. So it's not like, you know, the Lilac Glen, which I voted against because that was not transition, and I thought that should have been more consistent. But this, I can see, it's transition, it's transitioning. This fits in. That's my opinion.
Other thoughts?
Mr. Mayor.
Steve.
I think I agree with Dan. You know, in reviewing this, I thought, well, this is a great project. It's not that big of a lot. Affordable housing is part of the, I hate to say this, as part of the visioning project. And
Sounds good coming from you.
Someone just earned $1.
God, I lost that bet again. Damn.
You guys and your side bets, man. And I look at the evaluation. City Council must determine based on the information before them whether or not the proposal would adversely affect the surrounding neighborhood with regard to traffic, neighborhood character, and/or existing land uses. And Mr. Curdy, I understand your concerns. However, it's a pretty narrow list for outside of special use permit. So should the project go south, which really hasn't been the MO of the developers in my experience so far in the council. They've always done what they said they were going to do. And I do totally respect the mention of the oath, so I would believe you would honor it and see why you would have no reason not to. I was kind of baffled that it was denied by planning myself. So with that, I would move, Mr. Mayor, that the council would accept the request.
I'll second it.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Further discussion? Ron?
Yeah, you know, I I've sat up here for a while, and, or should I say many years, and, everybody comes to the city council, and they got a new project, and it's all for affordable housing and for senior citizens. I mean, we've got places now in Coeur d'Alene, out on 15th and Best, that's going to be a development for senior citizens. We've got one over on Ramsey that is for senior citizens. I mean, we've got senior housing coming out of well, anyhow, it's coming out. We've got a lot of senior citizen housing here in Coeur d'Alene, and I don't know. The gentleman mentioned about the parking, and I know a lot of senior citizens that still drive, and I'm not sure if the parking situation would be taken care of or not. Woody mentions about a PUD. I think that possibly a PUD would be something that should be looked at. I've read the minutes of the Planning Commission, and that's why I asked Sean why the Planning Commission turned it down. And Steve, like you mentioned, when I was first reading the minutes here, and then I saw where they made the motion, I was kind of set back too a little bit about why they made the motion and they denied the request. But I think what I kind of hate to see is somebody coming always to the city council and a new development that it's going to be for senior citizens. Everything's for senior citizens. Now, I'm a senior citizen, and I appreciate all this stuff that everybody wants to, give me or whatever. But I think we have an awful lot of senior citizen housing right now, and so I just have a hard time with this.
Any other discussion? Woody?
So, Ron, let me ask you, so if it wasn't a senior citizen thing, I mean, to me, it doesn't make any difference if it's senior or not. They're kind of gearing it that way, right? 1 bedroom, 1 bath on slab, no stairs. I mean, if no seniors can afford it, somebody will live there, right?
Well, I'm sure. If they build it, yeah.
Yeah, whether it's seniors or not. I mean, what do they have, those places where you have to be so old to live in a place, right? 55 above or something? And they have CCRs that say you have to be old to live here and your kids can't hang out or whatever. I don't know if that's enough to change it. You know what I mean?
You can have skateboards here.
Yeah. And they got hills, too.
Dan?
I think Mr. Ridley wants to say something.
Well, I wanted to say we have new microphones, but I guess I have to hold on to speak. Anyway, if the motion probably should be, if it is to approve, that we direct staff to prepare findings in an order reflecting that motion. And then also there were a couple conditions that were proposed by engineering. And I don't know if Sean can speak to that or not, but those are conditions that came from staff related to technical engineering items that probably should be included with this motion if it's approved.
So, Steve, you made the motion. Do you want to, I guess we want to direct staff to prepare findings and include the engineering requirements?
Recommendations, right.
Yeah, so if you wanted to restate that motion?
I'll restate it just like you said.
Okay.
Just like Mike said.
Yeah.
And I seconded it so we could have the discussion, so I'm still interested in hearing the rest of what these guys say.
Okay. So, further discussion? So we have a motion to approve and direct staff to prepare findings and include the engineering requirements. So that's the motion. We have a second. Roll call.
McEvers,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Gookin,
Yes.
Evans,
Yes.
Eddinger,
Nope.
Adams.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second.
Motion second to adjourn. All those in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned.